thank you for taking from your time and coming and joining in this wonderful conversation about creativity and women in the arts in Miami. With us today, we have Professor Sylvia Sayas. She's the lead faculty for Computer Animation and Magic, which is Miami-Dade College's Animation and Video Game International Program. She comes to us with 24 years of teaching experience under her belt, and she's a lead character animator. Professor Sayas also has served as a judge at animation festivals around Florida. She's been interviewed in the media in both Spanish and English regarding her animation and education experience. And in her spare time, she enjoys screenwriting and directing her films.
Yep. Hi, guys.
So let's
nice
welcome.
To meet you.
Then next to her is our very own Vivian María López. She's an Emmy-nominated TV host, an award-winning radio personality with over 25 years in broadcasting. Her show, Cubaneando with Vivian María, is celebrating 11 years on the air at 88.9 FM. She's active in the performing arts, at concerts, and special events in South Florida. And here at Miami-Dade College, Ms. Lopez is the assistant to the Wolfson campus president. She's the host and research writer of shows such as All That Is Jazz and Figure in the Arts. Vivian María is also the announcer for events such as the Miami Book Fair, MDC Commencement, and other ceremonies. She's voice talent for documentaries, newscasts, and virtual reality apps, among others. Welcome, Vivian.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then here we have González. She's a fashion designer who has been recognized as the first Cuban American to show her pieces at the Dubai Fashion Week, Vancouver Fashion Week, and Paris Fashion Week.
Fancy.
She has also dressed international artists such as Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, Alejandro Sanz, Pitbull, Daddy Yankee, and others such as the Princess of Dubai and Michelle Obama. With her brands House of Jazz and Republic of Jazz, she has exhibited her designs during the Emmy Awards, Grammys, Latin Billboards, and at the catwalks in cities such as New York, Amsterdam, Mexico, Istanbul, London, San Francisco, Budapest, and Miami. So welcome, ladies.
That means I'm very tired.
It's an honor for us.
And
to
she's
have you.
MDC too.
Oh, there you go. Okay, we have made some questions, created some questions just to start the conversation, but we want this to be an interactive opportunity for all of you here, for the audience to participate and ask questions so that it doesn't feel that stiff, and just feel free to just interact with the audience. And thank you again, ladies, for being here. And this question is for anyone that wants to start it. And our first question is, when was the first time that you expressed yourself artistically? And how would you describe that first time?
Okay, I'll start. Everyone.
Okay.
I'll get it out of the way. Well, my mom said to me that the first time I expressed myself was when I was born. But that I know of, I believe, since I was a little girl, I always had the creative thing inside of me. I believe that creativity is no more than imagination, and imagination is the preview of life's coming events. Mm-hmm. So, since I was a little girl, I always imagined a lot of things. And through those imaginations, I created things. I made clothing for my little dolls. I wrote stories that you wouldn't even believe. I came up with characters. I would write a lot. So I think when I was a little girl, that was it. That was like, I've always been a creative. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a specific time and day to
but
when
it has been with you all of your life.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think we all have that inside of us somehow.
Yeah. Thank
For me,
you.
I think from, this sounds funny, but from my mom's belly. I mean, my mom loves to dance. She's a pianist. I went farther back.
She went further.
I would feel her, I guess, she was dancing and everything. There was music in my home, my father, everything. So, and then when I was little, instead of watching cartoons, I would be drawing. So from a little girl, I would always be creating something and imagining and flying. And of course, in school, I would be daydreaming, studying, but daydreaming a little bit. And in the talking part, yes, the teachers would tell my parents, habla mucho, she speaks so much, but I got good grades. So I think since little, I just had all those things in me that were brewing to become, the person that I've been.
I gotta say, wow, so many similarities. I had the same thing. Every report card was straight A's, but she won't shut up. It's like, sorry. I also started, my thing was I'm an only child. So I had to entertain myself because pre-internet. I wrote a lot of stories and I played all the parts because there was no one else to play the other parts. But I watched a lot of cartoons. I didn't draw so much because I'm an animator. So yeah, a lot of cartoon watching and a lot of play acting when my bed was my stage. And it started when I was a little girl too. So yeah, very cool, the cool parallels.
Thank you. And following up with with this question, and I'm going to start with you,
Sure.
Professor Sayas. Can you describe for us your creative process?
Gosh, I'm gonna sound like a crazy person. When I'm writing, things change a lot. I've learned to accept that things are malleable. I try not to be like, oh, I had an idea for this character to be this position, job, and then, oh no, it's another one. They will, I know, you've probably heard this before, but I swear it's true. They'll talk to me. Like my characters will talk to me. And I'm like, oh, you know what? You know who'd like this? Celeste would love this. Celeste isn't a real person. I made her up in my head, but I swear, I know her. I know what she wants to do. My creative process is very much, I get inspired by TV and film that exist. I have certain genres that I enjoy. And then I can't even, it's like a je ne sais quoi. I'll dream cameras, framing and the way things should look. Sometimes I dream it. Sometimes I daydream. Mm-hmm. And, that's when inspiration hits. Sometimes it's when I'm in the shower and then inspiration leaves as soon as I towel dry. But, that's when it hits. So, it's kind of a lot of different things, but I am inspired a lot by what surrounds me and what things I enjoy in music and stuff like that. Just about anything is inspirational.
Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Same here. I think I draw inspiration from many places. I think definitely music is a big part for me. I used to be a bass player. I think because I do everything with a beat or with the rhythm. So the music is almost like in my mind always flowing as I move along. And basically, I think it has to do also with anything that when I go to bed, I don't sleep too much. So at night, all these things are brewing through my head for when I wake up. But that process has a vision as well. So I visualize something, I think of it, and I make it happen. And at the same time, it's just I immerse myself in it. So it does have certain steps that I follow internally, but it's just really connecting and becoming it and doing it with great passion. So sort of taking it, nothing is done, without concern or anything is really done deep down with much love for what I do.
Well, for me, it's like traveling through emotions. For me, creativity, it's so many things. And what inspires me are so many things in so many ways. But mainly, especially now, it's healing myself. I use my creativity as a healer because nowadays, with everything that we're living, it's very hard to heal ourselves without other things. So, for example, to give you an example, my mother passed away a few months ago, and it's the most horrible thing a human being could go through after having given birth a month prior. So it was very emotional for me. It still is, but I try to teach myself to go through the pain and get something positive out of it and learn from it. And get the most information and get the most that I can out of that pain so that I can heal it within myself through my creativity, through my designs, through what I do. and try to get that word and that feeling out there to other women, to other people that have gone through similar pain, to show that the pain is normal, to show that it's okay for horrible things to happen to all of us, and that there are ways that we can heal ourselves and make amazing and great things with it. For instance, my mother left letters to Jesus. She was Christian. So I found those letters in her room. I put them together, and I created fabrics with those letters, and I created a collection called Letters to Jesus, which was the collection that I launched in New York Fashion Week. As well, she told me she would come back to see me as a butterfly, and I also included butterflies in the collection. As a matter of fact, at the end of the collection, when I came out at the end, I released a bunch of butterflies, and everybody was like, what? Real butterflies? I can't believe it. So as that, it could also be anything that I see. As she was saying, sometimes I dream of pants, and I have to get up at 3 a.m. and draw it real quick, because I'll get upset at myself the next day if I don't have it, because I might forget it. And the shower is amazing. And whenever I'm taking a shower, I can save the world from hunger. Okay? That's where everything happens, in the shower. So yeah, a lot of similarities, but definitely creativity is everywhere. And to tell you exactly where it is, it's in that internal place in your brain where you feel the most fear. And that fear is your best work of art. The one that nobody believes in, the one that everyone tells you, don't dare to do that because you lose your job, your life, everything. That's your best creativity work right there.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you. I think that it's inspiring to listen to you. It's incredible to see the similarities in the process. And I think that, as you mentioned before, we all have that creativity within us. And it might be the fear that is not allowing us to take the chances that you guys have taken. And I take off my hat to that. And also, there is something so healing about being able to process the good things and the sad things or difficult things that we go through in a creative manner. It helps you heal. Yeah.
It definitely does. For me,
does.
it's worked so far.
So it's a healing process as well as it's something inspiring
Yes.
for others, for our students as well, So anything that you can do to turn it around, to make it into something better, more positive, kudos to that. We need to
Yes.
find
Yeah.
it. We can do that.
Definitely.
The following question has a lot to do with what we've been discussing, but I'm just going to add to see if you can think of any other means or mediums that have inspired you, other artistic mediums that factor or influence your creative process. Like what other venues support your craft?
Well, I could be here all day talking. Basically, another collection that I did, which is really funny, it's inspired in Cuba. I was born in Cuba, and I came to the United States when I was 5. And I went back when I was like 20-something. So when I got to that country, I saw everything so beautiful, but it needed a little bit of makeup. It needed like a little bit of paint. But the soul of the country is so beautiful. The floors, the tiles, my great-grandmother's kitchen. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. So the only way that I got to, I'm not into politics. I'm not going to save the world, even though I think about it in the shower. It's not going to happen. So the only way that I got to heal that pain of, nostalgic pain of not being able to do anything about fixing a country where I was born, and a country where a lot of people had to go through death, family death, abandon their homes, leave everything behind for freedom. So all that pain that I felt going back there and visiting, I released it through a collection called Forever Cuba. It's a collection inspired in Cuba's architectures and my great-grandma's floor tiles. I also created fabrics, beautiful silk chiffon fabrics with those tiles, and it was such a beauty.
And the Libertad also.
Oh yeah, Liberty. The funny thing is that I found in one of the parks in Cuba, I found a lamp that had like a thing in it, and it said Libertad, Liberty, in the middle of Cuba, and I was like, how do they dare to leave that there? Like, what are they talking about, libertad? So I took a picture of it, and I created a beautiful dress that I wish I had the picture here so we can put it, but you guys can Google it, and it's everywhere. It said libertad, and I was like, this is so, like, how can they dare to put libertad here? There's no libertad, hello. So I released that pain, and everyone kept on telling me, oh, you're crazy. No Cubans are going to wear anything that says Cuba Libre. No Cubans are going to wear, libertad. Oh, Cubans don't support each other. They're not going to like that. The colors are too bright. And everyone kept on just like telling me not to do it. And I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to do this to sell. I'm going to do this to heal a pain that I have and to, get rid of it and just put it out there. And we'll see what happens. And this is what took me to Dubai, and this is what the princess wore, and this is what took me everywhere, to being in Vogue, to being here today. Mm-hmm. If not, no one would have known me. I created my fear.
Yes. Wow, wonderful. Have you guys experienced a similar
So connecting a little bit with that of the maybe the connection or maybe the healing or the connection with my ancestors has to do a lot with the radio program where I present lots of the Cuban music or old traditional music that would lead on to the current music now. So I think preserving the tradition, preserving that music that perhaps throughout the years has been forgotten, but for new generations to learn about it is important. So part of that also is like an homage to my, not only my grandparents, but I'm going to say our elders, our grandparents, great-grandparents, whether it doesn't matter from what country you are, is really out of respect and an homage to the legacy that they have left us behind. So part of that is like newer generations, like our younger students and everything who are learning about the music or who are experiencing things. I think they could, again, I can connect with them in a way that I understand what the history is, but I'm going to tell it to you in a way that you would understand it better, in a way that maybe you could connect with it. That's one thing. And then as far as other medium or another media that to use throughout my creative process has to do also, I think, with theater and photography. I'm also, the sounds, of course, music, but I'm very visual as well. So I almost feel like everything I do is like a theatrical performance, So I guess get myself immersed in costume, and many times I utilize the beautiful dresses by Yas. So connecting with what I'm doing and being sincere about that is very important. So it's not just a job for me or something I do, but it's really out of respect for the audience and really getting myself so deeply into it that becoming it fully.
You immerse into the program,
Correct.
into the process. That's what I feel.
She's a superstar.
Yeah, all of you, I think, all of you. And your mediums, all of you immerse yourselves. Like you go to it, passion, with body, soul, everything.
There's no way to do something and be successful at it if you don't love it. So
Yes,
the day you do what you love,
Yes.
you stop working.
Exactly.
That's it. You won't work anymore. For me, it's not even a job. My career is not a job. It's what I love to do. It's what I'm dying to wake up to. Like, oh my God, I have to wake up.
Does it feel like a compulsion, right? Like
It feels like if I'm crazy.
That's why I sometimes will like,
And I see
listen, I'm not
fabrics
crazy,
and
I swear. For me, you mentioned body. And it's very, very interesting. And in the process of growing and at first, because always everybody thinks like, oh, you must have played a lot of video games or like watched a lot of cartoons and that's why you're into computer animation. But I found something during the process that's quite interesting is that I used to dance. And there's such a connection with me being in touch with my own body and dancing and knowing movements and following movements. I actually was an amateur bachata dancer.
Nice.
Do we have the video? Can we play it?
No.
Yes, I found it.
Actually, very interesting. I'm a little odd in that sense, is I love to perform and I refuse to watch it after.
Oh.
Like all the other dancers would like hover over, like, oh, I want to see. And they'd be like, Sylvia, come here. You can come see. And I'm like, no. For me, no, it's kind of odd, I know, but it was about the performance. So computer animation is acting, believe it or not. And I learned that in the process where if I want to portray something, I have to get up and move my body. And it's interesting because many of you maybe have seen like Turning Red, right? So we've got this big, lovely panda and all these characters that aren't human, but it's us moving. So it's a great way to learn to express myself through my body, through a character. which was great for me because I got kicked out of ballet when I was 10 years old because so animation's been a great outlet for me for movement and for telling story and storytelling through, body mechanics and through my body, through other characters when it became limited for me to do that in person. It was very freeing. It was a great release for me creatively because I could still kind of portray these kind of movements and dances and such. And I could be anybody. That's the cool thing too, is when you're animated, you could be anybody. It has nothing to do with what I look like, right? So when you're, if you're an actor, it's whatever you look like. It's like, oh, you look like this, so I will cast you as this. And it's like, no, I can be anything I want. I can be a giant panda. So there.
Thank you. I have another question for you guys. And how do you choose your projects? We already heard a little bit of to channel emotions, to be able to connect with your ancestors and your history. How do you choose your projects? Or do you choose the projects, or do the projects choose you? Because sometimes you download stuff from whatever cloud there is out there in the middle of the night or in the shower. The cloud is like really good in the shower.
Well, I'm taking the lead here, you guys. Like I said, I love to talk. I could tell my story. Well, we do. Imagine when we get together, all right? Could be forever. So I don't know if I choose them or they choose me. I haven't really thought of that. But definitely, it's just, it flows. Let me tell you, sometimes I go through the whole thing, oh my God, I lost my creativity. I'm done. I could die already. Like nothing comes to my head. Oh my God, what do I do? Where do I go? Okay, let me go to the beach. So I go to the beach and I'm like, it's so hot. Let me just go home. All right, let me go here. So when you try so hard, at least in my case, when I try so hard to look for inspiration, it just doesn't come to me. It doesn't. So when I disconnect from inspiration and I start doing things for other people and I start connecting with myself, healing whatever it is that's blocking me, when I start spending time with my loved ones, dedicating time to my grandmother, I could come up with a collection with those moments. It's so amazing. So I was thinking, okay, so now what do I do next? This is happening right now in my life. What do I do next? I already know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to tell you. No, this time it came to me. I had someone contact me from Africa, and they were like, "Oh, we want to build schools," and I'm like, "What? I want to do that." So I'm opening a school in Africa, a fashion school called Africa's School of Fashion, because my daughter's name is Africa. So that's going to lead me. I believe that's leading me towards my next collection.
Yeah, it sounds
but
like
I have so many collections.
happening.
I could live forever. I have a lot of collections, but I don't have time to make them all. So I try to choose the ones that are most commercial. And then the other ones I do them for personal pleasure.
No, just go with the flow. I think in my case, it's both. Like I feel they look, I connect with them and they connect with me. Sometimes I'm visualizing something and it happens. It's like I think of it, I feel it, I dream of it, and it comes to me. But other times, of course, if there's a need for something, I'm also very strategic when it comes to that. And I try to also look what's out there that might need me. So I think it's a mix of both. But I do know, for example, I've done most of the things I try to look for are things that have to do with the culture, with the arts, to support that. So I'm more into that. But at the same time, I've done news, which are commercial. So I could do documentaries, but I could do news. So I could balance myself out, which is good for diversifying yourself. But at the same time, I think no matter what, I'm feeling so much things that they come to me, and especially things that I believe that need to be done. Whether it be, again, the story of something, a specific, like documentary, like I'm working on a documentary on this musician. He's probably one of the last living legends of Cuban and Latin American music. He's 93 years old. Maestro Juanito Marquez, and I know it's been a big sacrifice, at his age and everything, but I think the story might get lost if we don't capture it. And this is so that's one of the many projects that I'm working on, in addition to, of course, the work here and everything I do. But again, so some of them I'm looking for them because I want them to happen, and then things facilitate themselves. All of a sudden, doors start opening because I think, again, I feel them so deeply. But other times, they kind of know about me, and then a person recommends me or the other, and those things happen. So I think it's a blend of both for me. I enjoy both ways.
Yeah, I'll add one thing that's very interesting to the fear. So it kind of is kind of a tangential to your question. I used to have this kind of crushing fear that I would lose a story. Like if I didn't get it to paper, if I didn't get to, and I struggled with one story where I was like, the feeling was there and then it left. And I was like, oh, no. Like it was like sand going through your fingers. I'm like, no, but I found out through the years, you don't lose it. It's like imaginary little boxes I'll put ideas in, where it's kind of like you were saying, you have many collections and not all of them are going to be seen to fruition. And I also have these little boxes where I keep my little stories and I know they're there. And for whatever reason, for me, it's usually music or certain times of year or certain geographical places will put me in the mood for that particular story again if I want to, but I can't force it. There's something about forcing things that just like a wall comes down. It's like, no, you shall not pass. Like, you're not going to. And I'm like, please, pretty please. Like, can I just have that story back? I'm like, I really want to write it.
Not now.
And it's like, not now. It's like, okay, back in the box it goes for later then. And then it'll come back. For whatever reason, I can't explain it to you. It's some kind of weird thing that just happens.
That happens to me when I have something to do at a specific date. Oh, my God. Collections and fashion weeks. Hey, yes, Fashion Week is in 2 days. Yeah, I haven't started the collection yet. So, yeah, it's hard.
Thank you. You all live and you all work in Miami. How has Miami affected, informed, or inspired your art?
I'll take the lead for that one first, and of course, no, I'm totally in love with Miami. I'm so proud to be a Miamian. I love living here, not only because of the beautiful community that we have. More and more, it keeps changing and growing ever since I moved here about, 30 years ago or so, how much it has grown. So many different people from so many countries. So I think totally that everything that I do has to do with that. I also love, through my work, supporting local artists, so Miami artists, putting them out in the world. Because my radio show, you can hear it here on, through the radio, but also you can enjoy it online. It becomes an international way of reaching out and sending out our community out there. So in other words, it's a Miami representation that I can do to the world, and I'm proud to support and to be, at least a small part of that representation. So yeah, Miami is very important. I think we need to really connect with what we're living here, with the ever-changing, and to be inclusive in every single way with the work that we do. So, and Miami nowadays has changed so much, and again, it's such an important name in the, pretty much in the world, in different worlds of animation and fashion and in education, like Miami-Dade College, for example, is such an important, institution as well. So again, it's a big name, say Miami, and again, I'm very proud to be part of this community and to be called a Miamian.
Yeah, I love Miami too. I mean, I love the whole world, but Miami is home. So it's where I was. I'm not born, but where I was raised, and I feel that Miami is a virgin place. I feel that there's so much potential here, and there's so much fear at the same time. There's so much talent. It's insane. I feel that I have a special duty here in Miami, as to maybe, motivate other people within my field or any other field to do bigger things. That is not just, life is not just go to work and come back, So a lot of people live here like that because life is fast. Time goes by, and if you don't get things done, the time goes by and they don't get done. And so if you don't do it, nothing happens. So a lot of people get stuck on that, and the years pass, and these people are very creative. I recently discovered so many fashion designers in a fashion show that I did, that I had different designers, and they were like, I can't believe you gave me the opportunity to showcase my work here, because I never had that opportunity here in Miami. So I believe I'm taking responsibility as to growing Miami as a educational town, something to be proud of. Like, I went to school in Miami. No, I didn't go to school in New York for fashion. No, I studied at Miami at the best fashion school, and that's where I'm from, and be respected in the whole world about that.
Yeah, for me, I'm a transplant. I'm completely a transplant. But for me, what I love about Miami is exactly the one word, and I was actually just funny. I was like walking, I was like, Miami's so full of potential. There's so many wonderful directions it can go in. It's so much talent, so much eagerness. So that's one thing I love. Everything feels fresh and new. So I'm from up north. I'm from New York, New Jersey area. No, it's okay. There's something very refreshing about Miami, in so much as, because New York is, I guess, kind of more established, it feels a little more closed. I'm sure there's a lot of populations that feel like, I really can't get my foot in that door because I didn't, have the portfolio. I didn't have the means by which to build this huge portfolio. I mean, literally, I was groomed in high school to have my portfolio the second I graduated. Not everyone gets that opportunity. I feel like it's a much more level playing field here. There is so much potential. You could go so far. Regardless of like where you went to school or where you lived or what, you know what I mean? Like, I really feel like Miami's so new that everyone just kind of goes, you got some talent? Come on. Let's make a movie. Let's make a film. Let's do some animation. You know what I mean? No one's asking you like, oh, where'd you go to school though? Like, no one cares. So that's one thing I love about Miami, is that it's fresh and new. There's no kind of walls built up to, you shall not do this because, whatever nefarious reason, you know what I mean? So that's one thing I love about Miami, is I think it's a lot of opportunity, and you ladies and some of us too, have such a responsibility to mentor and to encourage that in our students. Yeah.
And the nationalities, I love the mix of nationalities.
amazing.
I
The
love
beautiful
it.
mix.
It's like I'm here in Miami traveling the world because there's people from
Correct.
everywhere.
And we learn so much of the
I
different
love it.
cultures just by
Yes.
interacting with others and working
And
with them.
collaborate.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
And I love the food.
That's true.
It's true, I'm sorry. Yeah, for me, it's the food.
Don't get me started on that.
The food. It's like, where are you from? What do you guys eat? Can I have some?
And it's also learning about the stories behind the food that you're trying. And yeah, I agree, Miami has grown and it's ever evolving, and it's great to be part of it. Yeah. Our last question is, what advice would you give to young women who want to pursue careers in your field of work? And we just touched upon that, but can we elaborate on that question?
I think for computer animation specifically, right now, I have one of my female students right there. Hey! Man, we've burst a lot of those glass ceilings for y'all. So yeah, make us proud. There's absolutely, it is a male-dominated field. Just, it is. It is an absolutely male-dominated field. Let's not, splice hairs there. But there is definitely a place for us. You know what I mean? Like, we can be leaders. It's a young industry. It's very odd in so much in that sense. Like, when, I'm not going to say the year, but when I graduated, you can't make me. Toy Story 1 had come out when I was in school. Anyway, but it was still, again, and film in and of itself is very male-dominated. But we have stories to tell. And as of late, our stories seem to be compelling, and it seems people want to listen to our stories as women. So yeah, and so much, and we've always been the storytellers, right? Almost in every single culture, in every single historical thing, women have been the storytellers. And I think we are definitely poised to kind of take that and own it. So yeah, what I recommend is be fearless. Be fearless. It does not matter. And, just like you said, overcome that fear. You guys have a story to tell, and there's people that are going to want to listen to it. I guarantee it, whether it's a couple people or whether it's millions of people, it doesn't matter. I think it's important to get your story out there. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yes, we are the storytellers,
Yeah.
and we preserve the culture.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say not overcome the fear as much as grab it and use it. and abuse it. Like it abuses you. Yeah.
We should frame that, right?
I'm going to patent that as we leave this place.
Hashtag.
Hashtag abuse your fears. No, but really, I don't believe so much as in fears, as much as opportunities. A fear is an opportunity. And like I said before, what you have back there in your brain, very, very far, far away, you're like, I would never, ever be able to do that. Hey, when I was a little girl, I would see buildings and say, like, there's a building on Lejeune, I don't know if it's still there, a Burger King building. And every time I would travel and come back, I would see it. And I was like, the person that owns that building has hands, legs, eyes, nose. It's the same thing as me. So why does he have that building and I don't? What's different from that guy that I don't have? What is it? Why can't I have the things that I see? With faith, God, faith, and grace, and work. A lot of work. You can have anything you want. You just gotta want it. And like I said about imagination is the preview of life's coming event. Yes. So what you're imagining, that house that you're imagining, that car, oh my God, that lifestyle, that career, that success, that's not you imagining. That's God showing you what's coming up for you. So you better get your, you know what, together and get going and get started, because if you don't get started, God can help you. Mm-hmm. So you got to get moving. Mm-hmm. And the rest, it happens. It literally just flows. But you got to give it your all and do stuff and show up and be there and be positive and spread love. That's it. That's all you got to do.
And be okay with being rejected sometimes.
Oh my God, rejection is amazing. Mm-hmm. And failure is the best, because you learn so much. Really quick. I burnt a dress the day before Paris Fashion Week ironing it. So I put a pocket in a dress in the back. One here and the other one here. And the other one here. And I was like, well, you know what? It's going with pockets. I don't care. I'm going to show that dress because I love it. And I'm going to show it in the runway with weird pockets. That was the most sold dress in my whole career.
Wow.
So failure is your best friend. Make sure you fail a lot.
That's awesome. Vivian.
So I'm thinking along the lines of, first look at yourself. Look at who you are. Go deep and don't have fear to look at yourself. Study hard. Prepare yourself. Research. If you're facing something that you want to do, then go for it. And of course, look for support systems, whether it be, of course, God or your belief. It could be a parent. It could be wonderful faculty. It could also be mentors, an advisor. We're here in this magnificent institution, Miami-Dade College, that gives you all those tools. We're the dream makers, the dream machines, and opportunity, as they say, changes everything, So don't feel that you're alone. You'll always have someone to support you, to guide you through the steps, to take you there. So that's a very, very good thing to feel that you have that push. At the same time, do everything from the heart. So be authentic to yourself. If you start in a specific career that you love, and then you realize along the way that that might not be what you want to do, it's okay to change. It's okay to be very flexible with yourself and be fair to yourself. Listen always to yourself. And everything you do it with love, with respect towards others, and with great passion. And just give it your all, and you'll always succeed. But again, it's important to prepare yourself. It's important to study, and again, find a support system, whether it be, again, in the school or through family or through friends, and to believe in yourself. Fully believe in yourself.
Thank you. I was just going to do another follow-up question, because I was thinking that in fields like yours, and when you guys started, it might have been difficult for others around you to understand, oh, you're not going to make money with that. Oh, you're really going to do that? You should study something and that more profitable. You should be a doctor or a dentist. How did you guys handle that? And who was the one person that believed in you no matter what?
Okay, for me, it was my dad that believed in me the most. I mean, my parent, I'm sure this story is like oldest time, especially in Miami, right? Like my parents emigrated here for the American dream. And I'm an only child, as I've mentioned previously. So I was the American dream. It's funny that you say that because like they want you to become my mother still holds it over my head that I'm not a doctor, by the way. But yeah, my dad was the one that's like, well, you like to draw and you're really good at computers. I read this article, there's this thing, computer animation. Wow. And I was like, I could not decide, by the way. I think it's unfair that we expect 18-year-olds to know what they're going to do for the rest of their lives. I had such I did not do that to my kids. Like they go part-time, like you said, change a career. That's such a big lesson I think young people need to hear.
I wanted to change my career last week. That's how bad this is. Yeah.
Was it in the shower?
In the shower, it's the positive part. It's where I try to, change the world, not my career.
Darn. But yeah, no, I lost my train of thought.
Your dad.
My dad was my big cheerleader, and he still is. He still will watch a movie, and he's like, I saw this animated film. Like, you can do that, right? And I'm like, Dad, that's like an entire studio. I love you that you have that confidence in me that I can do an entire animated film on my own. But no. So yeah, my dad's my biggest cheerleader, and now my kids. So who are adults. Yeah, my youngest is 21 today.
Oh,
Happy
wonderful.
birthday to both of you.
Yeah, that's true. As of 5 a.m. this morning, yes.
Okay.
Wow.
You must be not resting right now, 21 years ago. Well, in my case, my whole family supported me, but then I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. First, I wanted to be a singer. Then my grandmother said, you don't even know how to sing, so stop it. Then I wanted to be a dancer. I was a cheerleader throughout my high school. Then I wanted to be, I don't know how many things I wanted to be. But I studied journalism and broadcasting. I had a magazine for 10 years. I have published books. I was a writer for a very, very long time. And through the magazine that I owned and published here in Miami, and it also reached international, I started liking fashion. So I said to myself, hey, let's change careers. So I sold everything, and I rented myself, like, I don't know if you went to that atelier, warehouse, and I put a bed on the second floor, and I had a 3-year-old kid, single mother. So I lived there, and I bought, like, 4 sewing machines that I didn't even know how to thread. So I had my grandmother thread the sewing machines, and they were all in pink thread. So in order to eat that day, I had to make bikinis with pink thread. It didn't matter the color of the fabric because I didn't know how to change it. So I had to make the bikinis and pray to the fashion gods for that thread not to unthread itself because, oh my God. So my kid had to eat. So I lived there for a while. I would sell the bikinis for $5 to local boutiques. And then I went to school, to fashion school. I didn't really, I was like, when I got there, I was like, these people are taking too long to teach. That's it, I'm leaving. So I just like spent the whole night, that the school wasn't here, by the way.
This wasn't the school.
This wasn't the school. No, I love the school, by the way. I went to visit yesterday. It was amazing. Anyway, so my ADD is kicking. So what I did was I learned, I would spend the whole night, my kid would go to sleep, I would spend the whole night playing with the machines. And the day that I learned to change the thread color, and I was like, I went to the boutiques and I was like, look, black bikinis with black thread. The girl was like, no, everyone likes the designs that you make, the combination of colors is so creative and amazing. And I was like, what? So yeah, there goes another failure. That made me great in a way. So after that, I started creating custom dresses and custom bikinis and swimwear. And I don't know how by working, by doing things. Mm-hmm. But that's how pretty much.
And for me, it's been really my family. My whole family has always been super supportive. And I think certainly mom and dad have been very instrumental for me. In a way, I want to make them proud. In a way, I'm mimicking them, their sacrifices and their hard work and everything they have done. And they were always supportive. So I think my mom always wanted to do the things that I'm doing, always wanted to be on stage, always wanted to do things, and because maybe her parents were more, conservative back then in the years, they didn't let her, so she lives her dream through me. So in many ways, it's beautiful that I can honor them, and at the same time, they can see that that extension, if you may. And my father always has been extremely supportive of everything I do. So I think my family, and they might not have had to eat or anything, but they wanted to be sure they would put us through an education, sacrifice everything to give us the right education that we needed. So, and again, it didn't matter to them as long as we can continue. And they always would say, don't do anything but study. This is all that we want. Don't work. We would always work part-time, but again, they would want it to be sure that we had a good education. And this is, again, why, I always say Miami-Dade is so important, because it's helped so many of us who might have, or, people who might be in situations that might not be able to go to school, but they give them the tools to do so. So again, my parents, my family, always supportive, and again, giving us that education that really took us that step behind, or that step forward to today.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. This has been an amazing conversation, and I hope our students and the audience here has enjoyed it as much as I have. Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
for having me. Thank you.
Do you guys have any questions?
I'm just curious because I see here that you design, the dresses for Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, Alejandro Sanz, people. How do you, because they are all different personalities and the way they want to perform in, how do you inspire or find the creativity in that moment to design that dress for the specific artist?
I have no idea. No, just kidding. She's kidding. Yes. Okay, well, I'm not really kidding. I really don't know how it happens. It literally just happens. Like, I see a person, and obviously I studied fashion. So, in school you learn the technical part of fashion, like what looks good on this person, the colors of the season, what goes, what doesn't go, and then you do whatever you want with it, because that's what makes me a creative. I create from scratch. So when I see a person, doesn't matter if it's, by the way, the best person for me to dress is the real woman, like you and me. It's not artists. Artists are, to me, they're amazing artists. I love you, but they're a personality. They're not a real person. So it's very hard to get to which person are you going to be that night, so that I know what we want to deliver. Who are we selling to? What type of event is it? If it's a red carpet, if it's like something at night, if it's outside. So it all has to do with the environment, with what you want to deliver, with what you're wearing. I do a lot of new up-and-coming artists, and I create their image. And it's very hard, because you have to think about different things. You don't want to look sexual, but you want to look sensual, like sexy, but you don't want to look vulgar. So you have to think on so many little details. Sometimes, like for instance, my dream is to do clothing for movies. That's why I married a film director. Just kidding. I married him because I love him, but but hey, while we're there, can I make your wardrobe? Thank you. But and I enjoy that process so much, because like she was explaining, you talk to a character, you that person talks to you in your brain, and you're like, and then that person tells you, I'm sexy, but I don't want to tell people I'm sexy. But make me a dress that says sexy, but you can't have me sexy. So that's when like my brain starts to think and to create. And let's say a short person cannot wear dresses under the knees because it'll make you shorter. So when you see a person, like there's so many things to think about. Yeah. The concert, if it's a concert, the lighting, if they're filming a music video, what's the color palette? Like, what lightings are you going to use? So, and depending on the lighting that they're going to use, you have to choose a fabric. If not, it feeds back the light. So there are so many things to take into consideration when dressing a person for one time. So people are sometimes are like, wow, $5,000 for a dress, that's a lot of money. I was like, okay, sure, make it yourself or go to Walmart.
No, and there's the technique which you learn in school, like here in the fashion school, for example, but there's also the merchandising side of it, so the business of art as well, whether it be, in everything that you're doing, you don't want to be great at the technique or learning because you're an artist, but you also want to have that business side of you. How to sell yourself. I just a few days ago, we were happy to attend the Magic pitch to the industry for our animators, and it was super lovely. We had Walt Disney. I mean, we had the biggest names there. And they were so talented, these students, but at the same time, sometimes they will be, of course, quiet, or and they might, can you please raise your voice? So that also is very important when you're preparing yourself, that you know your technique, you have studied, but you also want to sell yourselves in the best way. You need to sell your product, sell who you are, reach to your audience, know how to get to them. The business side of it is also very important. And actually, same thing, here in MDC, we also include that as part of what you learn in this process of being the artist that you will be, or any craft or any line of schooling that you decide to do.
Well, yes. Uh-huh.
So I have a follow-up question to what you just said. What would you, if you could give like the number one tip or advice in your experience in the business aspect, because I know that for artists that they struggle with that, right? Because they live for their art. That's kind of what drives them. But then making that switch or that connection to be able to make a living, right? I think I'm not an artist, but I'd see it from a lot that I know that's where they struggle. What would you think is like, if you could give one tip or one this is the key to being successful in this industry, in the business aspect, what would you say it is?
Okay, I'll take it because I struggle with that so much. Because it's like sometimes I tell God, are you making me an artist or how do I make money? Like, can you give me both? You can't. There are people here that clean the floor, and if they didn't exist, we'll have dirty floors. There are people here that put together the flowers, and if they didn't exist, we wouldn't have that beautiful flowers. So there are filmmakers, there are photographers, there's an audience. So the really quick answer to that is team. There's a team of professionals that do jobs. And at the beginning, when I started, I didn't have money to pay anybody. So I searched, I went to schools, I asked for help, and I searched for professionals in the making and talents like myself that wanted to struggle and to do something and be something in life. So let's say I would meet an accountant, I would tell her, listen, you want to work with me? I'll give you like 3%. Or, let's do a project together. Or let's help each other out. How can I help you? I'll introduce you to like 3 clients and then you'll make money off of that and you can help me part-time. Or, just going out there and finding the right tools and people to help you with your project. But the most important thing is to believe in your project, to have something to show the other people, to sell to the other people so they're like interested in what you're making, what you're creating, because they want to be part of something big and they know that they could grow with you. So that's the tool that I used when I started.
No, and that's very good. And I also want to add about what I mentioned before with a support system, whether it be a support system of the faculty member, a mentor, or someone who's an advisor here, for example, at the college or anywhere. So I think that part's very important. Also being very observant of the industry. So the connections, right away, try to get into LinkedIn, not just the social media, but the people who are making it in the field where you want to go, learn from them as well. So be very observant and vigilant of what they do and sort of like follow them. So I think that network part is important. And every time and like you mentioned before about failure, how can I say this word? Go out there, and if you feel that you have failed, and I know I don't like to use negative words, but if you feel you have,
You have to.
I know. But if you feel, I know.
She's so pretty, like everywhere, right? It's like life is so perfect with Viviam. No, you go out there and you failed. You know, you fail.
No, and I understand.
Because if you don't fail, you don't learn. You
And I
You would not
understand.
learn.
No, I'm totally with you. I mean, just because you see me here doesn't mean I have slept
See,
all
she's
night.
too pretty.
No, and I guess because I have to show the best side of me to others. So the show must go on is one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
things they say, and it is true. I've had moments of that have been very hard, and I've had to go on stage. Imagine being the very first person that opens up her mouth when everyone's sitting there like this, waiting for. So it's very hard, this position of being it's a master of ceremonies or a host or something. Everyone's, walking and talking, and you have to quiet them down, have them sit down, and they're not children, and at the same time start speaking to them in a way that they will connect and find it interesting. So it's very hard, but you have to, again, come through in this beautiful way, be diplomatic, be professional, and at the same time be warm and inviting, so people also, again, don't feel like you're up here. So I think all those elements, I know it was not just one answer, but I think, no, of course, what you have mentioned is very important, but also finding that support system and really falling and getting up again, practicing in front of a mirror, and trying with your family or friends. For example, you might want to, okay, I'm going to do a pitch to the industry, sit there and see if you feel that you understand what I'm saying. Do you think I'm missing something? Am I being too repetitive? Am I sounding too low? So that kind of a thing helps you training. Practice perfect. They say perfect. How is it? Practice makes perfect. So perfect practice makes perfect as well.
Yeah, that.
You see, that doesn't come out in this pen.
But to close it up, basically, it's you gotta be hungry. If you're not hungry, you're not gonna do anything because you don't have the need to it. I had to fit my child.
Find an inspiration. Find something that motivates you.
You
Whatever
gotta
it
be
is,
hungry, whatever it is. Whether
it
you
is.
want to be the most famous person in the world, you're hungry for fame. Whether you want to be the richest person in the world, you're hungry for money. Whether you want to be, whatever it is, the solution is not the solution. The abbreviation of it is just you have to be hungry in order to succeed. If you're comfortable, you're not going to do anything. That's why you see the kids of rich people just like sitting there and, oh yeah, I have to make it to college and I have to go to college and my parents are going to pay for my apartment. And then they're just like, most of them end up working for their parents' companies or, doing the same thing their parents did because they never had the necessity of doing anything for themselves. So you have to struggle, you have to fail, and you have to be hungry.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all for being here, for taking up your time. And again, thank you, ladies, for sharing
you
your
for having me.
experience.
Thank you for having
your
us.
passion. It
Especially
was
with
very
Vivian.
nice. It was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you
guys for
much
coming.
for making it so special.